Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Wonderful. So we're gonna start first. Tell me about a recent success in your classroom culture. We have been doing some work around, the family meeting with some identified things you want to talk about. So tell me a success in your student culture.
Um, I've actually made some changes too, not just like the ones that we talked about, but just seating and stuff. And I've noticed that a lot, like less and like kids are yelling out across the classroom. It's like I really do the same. So.
Wonderful. And what actions did you take to lead to that success?
I pulled a lot of them. I called
There's no one
for a
upstairs
lot
to
of
cover
them.
to Steve. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing. Supposed to be beat that guy.
She's like,
You know what I'm saying? Oh, her name is Tiffany. I looked right over there and I said she won't get here to 8:15, and I looked right at Dixie and said, oh, that don't.
I didn't think it.
Right, I was like, that don't have anything to do
someone
with
else
me. Okay. Dixon was just sharing a recent success in her classroom related to student culture. She has been doing some work around establishing a stronger culture amongst each other. So she was just naming that. So we're gonna dive on into let's talk about some data. So you just finished. Yes.
I pulled kids yesterday, but then it like affected me checking in on everybody else. Like I pulled my bubble kids and another group.
Okay.
So I just wanted to.
That's fine.
We
Analysis.
can troubleshoot that.
So we just finished analysis for IA number 2. We talked about that. You guys are working on action plans. What was one thing that you were most proud from your data, Tuskegee? I mean, from your cohorts, Bianca.
That more than half the class started the problem correctly, as opposed to on IA, there were only maybe 3 or 4 kids out of both cohorts that even did the right operation and stuff.
Okay.
From yesterday, I think my biggest success was, again, like she said, they were using the right operation, but the point of it was that they were supposed to be represented. So, like with my class, that was a big one. And then more kids represent.
One. So you all gave exit tickets. They not added in the exit ticket tracker.
I haven't even written off for
I know you weren't here yesterday afternoon. After you score them, enter them into the tracker. When I see the tracker, it helps me identify, 1, what we can fix for tomorrow, and then 2, we need to continue to build a culture of I did some work, I should know what I did. So let's pause there for a minute. Now that they're scored, Dixon, how do your scholars know what they did on the exit ticket? What does that look like?
I've been writing notes like represent.
When do they get it back?
They should get it back today. Once I get it back into the exit to the tracker. They typically get it back the next day.
Okay. And
I have someone file it and they're supposed to clear out their mailboxes every day.
so it goes in their mailbox.
I just put it on this.
Unless there are 3s, and if there are 3s, they go in there all.
Okay.
Which they like that, so
Okay.
was that okay?
Yeah. We'll talk about it more when we get to your analysis, but I just wanted to know because it's important that they know what they did and that they know that you value the work that they did. Great. So from the IA, moving into today, start of Unit 5, a new unit on what? What are they learning this unit?
What to do with remainders and multiple step problems with the flow operations.
Yeah. So what's the same about the work that they have to do from Unit 4 to Unit 5, Dixon?
They're still dividing and multiplying. So they're using a lot of the operations that we learned about in Unit 4.
Okay. What are some scholar habits that they learned in Unit 4 that we want to make sure we see in Unit 5?
They're actually turning and talking to their partners, tracking the speaker.
Using those strategies.
And what evidence would you see on paper that they use in the strategy?
Showing
So let's look at the standards so we can talk about the big idea. So what is the standard for this unit?
for
Okay, and where does this lesson fall in this unit? It's the first one.
I was like, is that a trick question?
It is the first one. It is the first one. So this lesson falls in which building block?
1.
Yes, in building block number 1. And this is the opportunity for scholars to begin to make the connections from what they learned in Unit 4 related to multi-step problems. And now this new piece of interpreting remainders, because they have been divided. Now let's talk about what we do with the remainders. For today's lesson, what is the big idea? At the end of this lesson, if you ask Grayson or if you ask Kayla, what would they say was the big idea of this lesson?
That when you see a remainder, or when you have a remainder, sometimes you have to add one more, use it as the answer, or ignore it.
Okay, so let's tell them what they would do with a remainder. What is the overall big idea of the lesson, though?
You have to solve word problems and interpret what to do with the remainders.
Yeah, so the work is interpreting
Yeah.
what to do with the remainder, and then they have those 3 options to interpret. Wait, that don't make sense. To interpret what to do with the remainder, and those 3 things that you named are how they interpret the remainder. Okay. So, what strategies are scholars using today?
It's up to them.
It's up to them. So let's talk about what their options are. What are their options? What could we expect? What could we see from scholars in scholar work today?
Partial product. One of my kids really likes that.
Pictorial models, although I've been really stressing my kids not to do that.
I have one that's all they do, and I stress that all the time. They're like, this is the only way to get it right.
Or
Okay.
using the area model.
Yep.
Okay. So what are we stamping? Wait. Yes. What key points are they walking away with?
That they can do various things to interpret the remainder.
Okay. And what question are they asking themselves to interpret the remainder? What are they thinking about?
What is the problem looking for? What is the problem asking me to solve for?
What does it represent, or what does the remainder represent, or what does that mean I should do with it?
Right. Because they're going to get an answer. Knowing what they're solving for, they could be solving for the number of cookies, the number of bracelets, the number of whatever. That's not the question they need to be thinking about when they think about interpreting the remainder. So what does this remainder mean? What does it represent? And then when I know that, what do I need to do with it? Okay. Let's talk about the VA. What is different about today's lesson than in past ones, particularly Unit 4?
They have 3 problems.
They have 3 problems of the day. So, 3 problems of the day. The VA leads us into instruction. Before we get into that, when we talk about scoring for the exercise-based intro, what is the current goal that everybody scores?
3.
The current one that we're looking at, we are
Nope.
2.
Yep. Before Thanksgiving break, everybody's supposed to have a 2. Score 2 regularly. So let's talk about next phase. What will be the thing for the next phase? 3. Do you know what you need to get a 3?
Time.
You got to kill the timestamp. Bianca, you might not know. You may or may not know because it was names was put together.
It's time, and then it's like 85 kids tracking. 85% of kids tracking.
Mhm. Yeah. So for phase 3, in order to get a 3, you have to hit the timestamp. And in all of the components, 85% of kids for maximizing the math. So 85% of the kids should.
Track.
What's that
Talk.
called though?
Kids listening to kids.
Kids listening to kids. 85% must also
Talk. They should talk to you more than
meet
they
the
talk.
vision for turn and talk.
And then they should out-talk you in the lesson.
That's the same. 85% of partner work. So partner work, turn and talk, and kids listening to kids are the 3 things for maximizing the math. Under each one of those things, there's criteria what that looks like, but you must score 85 in each one of those to score a 3. Okay. So let's talk about the problem of the day 1, 2, and 3. So I brought up the time step because that is 3 problems of the day.
We ain't making 20 minutes.
And
You
it
will
says
make
in-
20 minutes.
It says in the
It
beginning
says
of the
in there,
lesson,
like, you're
this
probably
lesson
not-
will take longer
Yeah.
than
A lot of our
lessons.
lessons.
When they score you, it don't say nothing about it takes longer.
But the actual lesson says today's introduction is a bit longer, on the longer side. You will go through 3 problems to illustrate these different. I'm just telling you what to say.
I'm not arguing what that lesson says say. When they show up to, if you was teaching this lesson tomorrow, when AF come and watch, I guarantee you your school is gonna be based on that hitting that time stamp.
I mean, if the kids get it, I can take the L.
But
with
you
the time
already,
stamp.
but you already know how to get them to get it. But
Right.
you don't see
I'm
it.
just-
Most of the time, y'all lose time looking for the strategy. That's what most of our time is, looking for the strategy, not stamping what they need to know. So problem of the day, what's the first problem of the day? The only thing that we're gonna do is the representation and the stamp. The representation and the stamp. So problem of the day 1, come on Dixon. Joshua is making friendship bracelets with yarn. Each bracelet uses 3 inches of yarn. He has 17 inches of yarn. How many bracelets can he make? What is the representation and what is it that you're solving?
Alright.
You don't have to walk me through that. Draw the representation and then what is the step? What is the key point that problem of the day reveals? Bianca, you can get ready because you're going to do the second one.
It's easy.
Okay, so that's what you want. This is when a kid is done. That's what you want to see on their paper.
Oh, you want the.
Yeah, I want you to represent the problem. And Dixon, it's important that you nail it because your kids are struggling to represent.
So it's 5, -2.
Allen to Robinson. Just Robinson,
Okay.
you copy.
So what does this problem of the day, what key point does the problem of the day reveal?
Ignore remainder.
Ignore me. Go ahead, Bianca.
Does anyone have eyes on him, Lucas or Miss Robinson? Okay, she has, I was like,
For y'all not to like aerial method, y'all should use it.
Well, cause
I
that's
don't
the
like.
only.
I like
the
the
other
area
ones.
model is the most efficient. I don't like the pictorial model.
You don't like the tape either? Or is that what you call it, Victoria?
I don't know.
Like when y'all had to divide them in bars. I mean, like it was
that's
four.
That's for subtraction or something.
yeah, it's
You can
possible,
divide using
but-
that. That's not for subtraction.
No, but they do a lot of subtraction with that model.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't. My kids didn't get that. They got this one the most.
Okay.
So they just.
Oh, I did do a pictorial model.
Okay. So then, problem of 3. What's the remaining one?
You only
there's
there's a remainder.
Yeah.
Right. The remainder is the answer. So The problem of the day revealed the what?
The 3 key points.
The 3 key points. The thinking job, what's the thinking question that scholars need to know? Dixie, script that up there. What is the thinking job? What are they thinking? Think, what are they thinking about?
What does my remainder represent and what do I do with it?
Okay. Hi Kylie, good morning. Okay, what does my remainder represent and what do I do with my remainder? One. So if those are the 3 things that they need to know in order to interpret a remainder, and that's what they need to think about when they solve each one, what misconceptions are going to come up?
They're either, like, they may not. So like for the add one more, they could ignore it.
So add one more, they could ignore it.
Or they could
Tell me
just-
more. Wait, tell me more about that.
So like the add one more would be like, oh, they see we have a remainder too, but then they just say, well, just ask me, like, oh, how many cars I need, and they could think, well, I see 4, like I just need 4,
Okay.
and not understand like everyone has to fit in a car.
Okay.
You can't just add. Like for some problems like this, they'd be like, well, you just shove the other kid into the car with you.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Even though the problem says only 4 people can go in a car.
Wonderful. So let's talk about that. I say I did.
Because in real life, like that could be something that they do where they just.
Exactly. So what is the question that you would ask to help clear that misconception up? So you walk by, you monitor, a kid says 4 cars. What's your prompt?
How many kids can fit in a car?
4.
How many kids do you currently have fitting in each car?
16.
Is that what the problem says?
No. Okay. So they could not add one more. What's another misconception they could have? Taylor, you was gonna add something.
They could just keep the answer all together. Keep
Yeah.
the whole image part all together.
Okay. How would you fix that?
I would tell them to go back to the question. So, for the first one, if they leave it like that, I would say it says, how many bracelets can you make? And then if they have the remainder, I would probably give them the accent. If they have this, what does this remainder represent? Oh, it's what's left over. Can you make a bracelet with that? No, because it's not enough. So should that be a part of your answer?
Wonderful. Those are only 2 misconceptions I was thinking. The other thing that I was thinking is that they wouldn't understand what it would mean to ignore, add one more, or to use, or the remainder is a part of the answer. Most importantly, the part of the answer.
Like most importantly would be like, it is your answer.
It is your answer.
Yeah.
Because they have had practice with leaving it alone or adding one more, but can my remainder actually be part of my answer? Is the other misconception that I think they would have. And how will we resolve that?
If you're solving a regular division problem that asks you what, I don't know,
What was the third one?
I think you could
Carolina
go back
had
and
9
say-
pencils that they want to share between themselves and their friend's head. They each get
What
an
does
equal
it
number of
ask you?
pencils. How many will be left over?
So go back. I would say like Taylor said before, like go back and say like, what does it ask you? How many would be left over? And then you could ask, oh, so they have 6 left over?
Or is that okay? So the work that you're doing now, is that same or different from them always thinking, what does my remainder represent and what do I do with my remainder?
no.
Nope. Cause the 2 that's left over in this problem, the 2 that's left over in problem of the day 3, the question is asking how many will be left over, so they need to know 2. So what does my remainder represent? The 2 that's left over. So that's part of my answer. So exit ticket. We just briefly talked about exit tickets from yesterday, and scholars finding out how they did. Here's today's exit ticket.
Did you print this?
Yep. I want you all to do the representation and which key point it represents. You don't need to, you already did.
Oh.
So just label which
I
interpretation it is. Did you already do yours too?
guess I didn't. That's weird though, because I do the first 2 pages in that, but.
Just the same thing we did up here. Which key point? How are they interpreting the remainder?
They're deciding for reasonableness first.
How are they interpreting the remainder? Don't do that part. Just label. Just say draw the representation and then say which key point that one reveals.
Oh, so then you just do that. Right.
Got it? Okay. The first one, what are they doing with the remainder?
Ignore.
They're ignoring. What are they doing with remainder for number 2?
Only use the remainder.
And then
And
add
what's left over.
They have to use what's left over, and then so the remainder is the answer, and then the third one
add one more.
they have to add one more. So on the exit ticket, each question is a different interpretation of the remainder, right? So in the workshop sheets that you all completed, the independent part, when we think about timing for independent practice and getting them there, first on your cover, not workshop, on your independent one, of these, let's quickly circle which ones we want to make sure they get to, and which ones are we looking for that would get them practice before they get to the exit ticket. Do we want them all to be ignored? Do we want them all to be add one more?
No, they need one of each.
They need one of each. So let's identify which ones we absolutely need to say, hey, while you working independent, you need to complete 4, 8, 9 before you do, like, which problems are they gonna complete first? You need a pencil, or you wanna use that big country marker?
Yeah. You got a pen?
So they should do 1. Two, you could do.
Question. Ignored. then they should still be able to say what to do, what would be left over would be the answer.
We had an ignore right already. Six is adding one.
So did we
do 7?
And why do they need to do 7?
Because the ACT can ask them a question
Yeah.
about reasonableness.
Okay, so now we have the independent practice. We've identified the problems that they need to do first. And what are those problems? What are those
1,
problems?
2, 6, 7.
Dixie, right there.
I have it down.
Okay. Great. So now close your work independent. If they go back to the cover sheet of independent, the first one. Right here, who are the kids that's coming? Who are your bubble kids that's coming to the table with you?
Mariah.
Write them on their paper. Hi, Weber.
Hi.
How are you, little bug?
Hi.
You counting down the days now, ain't you?
I honestly, just because I feel like I am, everything else is backsliding because I'm so hyper. Like I just need to.
You
not-
all in wedding brain.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
What did you say?
1.
1, 2, 6,
2,
7.
6, 6.
I have a question. So in my second class, I only have 2 bubble scholars. So can I pool like 2 more scholars who are close to being bubble scholars
Do you, okay.
with that group?
Okay, so do you want, the ones
Like
in
a
the poster
kid-
bracket, or kids from here, from today's lesson, they could be close? Are you talking about the first time or the second?
I'm talking about like the first time I pull my bubble scholars the first time.
Okay.
So like Tenario and Ayana were at, so our range was really small. Like Jameer was 43, but he's still in a bubble scholar position.
Is he in that group?
He was in yellow. So Jameer and Malia are my only 2 bubble scholars in my second class.
Okay.
So I was asking, like, could I pull my next 2 scholars?
What's the
that were
difference in
close to
percentage?
About 10% with them. So it'd be like from
Yes.
43 to.
Or you can pull, for your second group, pull scholars who need the extra push to get this today right to do.
Well, yeah, that's what I do with my second group. But I'm saying, like, with my bubble scholar group, could I do that?
But we could add it, leave those 2 for today, and then we'll add it as we look at your analysis.
Got it.
Taylor, who your babies?
I gotta look on my.
Your now.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's gonna be your 2 a.m. test. I could just randomly walk up and say, who your bubble kids? And you should be able to say, John, Jacob, Jingle, Hyper, Smith. Yes. Okay, so, independent practice time in Tuskegee. Bianca has a group. Did we assign Weber a group? No, because in your group, Wix is present for your afternoon.
You know.
Yes. Yes. So,
Go down to yeah.
right. Okay. So, during independent practice, when she gonna pull group, then you can monitor and give feedback to scholars who have the test.
That's usually. I feel like that's generally what
Okay.
we do.
It's gonna change when Wix comes,
Okay.
because then you'll be able to pull a group too.
Okay.
Okay. Or huddles or desk or something together. For the kids. Workshop, independent practice. Great. What do we need to do to score 3?
Time.
Turn it talks. Time. And
Kids listening to
workshop.
So those fitting components. Kids listen to kids, partner work, and turner talks are all meet the vision for math. Maximize the math. And each one of all of those 3 you gotta get 85% in. Okay? So maximize the math, 85% in each category. And then the other one is the timestamp. typically don't struggle with consolidated learning. So to move to a 3 in phase 3, to get a 3 is what?
Meet the time.
Mm-hmm.
25. It's 20 to 25 minutes. Goal would be 20, not 25.
Uh-huh.
Turn it off.
Yesterday.
Turn and talk. Is listening to kids
And meet time. Those are the 3 things.
in partner work.
Partner.
That's good.
Yep. So today, when I come into your room, it's independent work time. What should I see on the board?
1, 2, 6, 7. Get them done first.
Right. And then what are you doing when I come in to see?
Pulling kids.
Pulling kids. And who are those kids?
My bubble scholars.
Your bubble scholars. Can you tell me their names?
Kamori, Janae. It's Kanori, Janae, Mariah, my first class junior, and Malia, my second.
Wonderful. And today, when you're done with the exit ticket, what should I be able to see?
In my tracker.
I should be able to see them in the track.
What's the time for them? By the end of the day?
Yeah, but we're gonna change it after Thanksgiving. But I don't want to talk about that in this meeting. We're gonna talk about when we do your analysis. So we're gonna talk about possibly switching, doing cumulative review after the workshop, so that you can score exit tickets while they're doing cumulative review. And then that way, when your block ends, it ends on these are the people who got, the people that got 3s, these are the people that got 2. Tomorrow when you come in, you can expect to have to redo your exit ticket. So we're gonna talk about that.
I
so
want to
that
get
you all
back
have
into
some
the
choice in
habit
it.
of scoring once as soon as they finish. Like,
Right.
if they raise their hand, then they're done.
So that's what we're gonna establish. Great. So at the end of the day, Ms. Weber, if you walk into Tuskegee and you touch Chad and you say, Chad, what are 3 things I can do to interpret a remainder? What would he say?
He would say you can either create a new group, ignore it, or have it as your answer.
Yes. Dixie.
Can you see what you get a chance for?
Yep. Dixie. If I walk into your classroom and I touch Brittany and I say to Brittany, what do you need to always be thinking about when you see a remainder? What should she say?
How do I, or what does the remainder represent, and how do I interpret the remainder?
Wonderful. And Mrs. Taylor, what score would a scholar get on an exit ticket that shows they know those 3 things and they have been thinking about what does the remainder represent and what do they do with the remainder?
3.
Hey, all right, 4th grade, have a great day.
And thank you. That is not.
Yes, see y'all soon. Record today's lesson.
Dixie.
Yes, love.
I have set me out in the AM.